speaking of demos, you brought the original versions of some of these songs.
Oh
This
my
is
god!
crazy. We haven't listened to these literally in the 10 years since we.
Which one should I do first? Renegades was the first single that did really well.
You had like
Also
23 different versions of Renegades, by the way,
Yeah,
which we might play today.
It's also frustrating when you're like, I've got Unsteady. You guys didn't give a about that one, but like, do you like this one?
We did not love Renegades when we wrote it. We didn't want it to be like the lead single.
We felt like we were maybe in danger of getting dropped. Still in a van and trailer. I was busing at a restaurant. We just felt like we couldn't catch a break. I was thinking about the band, and I was thinking about how we operate too, with Casey being visually impaired, and like we move different as a band.
For a blind musician, particularly a blind piano player, how are you going to compete with Stevie Wonder or Ray Charles? Like,
the fact that y'all did a song with The Weeknd is crazy.
So that whole project was so wild.
collaborations with Eminem, and we never once met the man.
Y'all's first hit was like a sync that was also played on the radio a ton. That
Why it
seems
finally worked.
life-changing.
It was life-changing. I was like, no one wants to hear me talk about like, boo-hoo, my parents are divorced. But I took that leap of faith, and that song changed our lives.
Super excited because we have ex-ambassadors today. Give it up.
Thanks, dude. What up?
So excited for today. And when Behind the Wall was first started, one of the main goals I had was to shine a light on the people and stories behind music, movies, and media. But it was also to inspire every underdog to go for it. And I really feel like your guys' story connects with that. I'm excited to go over it today.
Thanks, man. Yeah. I was saying this to somebody. I was probably like complaining to my wife the other day. I was like, God, I feel like it's like such a like an underdog all the time.
And one of your songs like actually really connects with that mission. And I feel like you guys have talked about it in like another way, but I feel like it's never been talked about in this way. So I'm excited to go over it.
Yeah.
But the first question I usually like to ask everyone I talk to is, for anyone who doesn't know who you are, what are some of the songs they know you from?
There's the big two.
There's the big two, Renegades. If you ever heard a song in 2015 that was like on TV or on the radio that was like, hey, that was our song. And there's another song of ours called Unsteady.
Love it.
That's got a nice little yodel at the beginning. A little like,
Yeah, that is considered a yodel, right? When your voice breaks like that.
Yeah.
That's, wow.
I have a fun fact about that song.
Oh my God, please.
Hit us, yeah.
So when I was first starting vocal lessons, one of the songs, I wanted to sing a bunch of different songs. So I said Coldplay songs, I said songs by John Legend, then I said Unsteady.
Oh.
And my vocal coach that I was working with at the time told me that like, I'm not going to teach you that song because you wouldn't be singing healthily. And,
Wow.
and I was
shots
like,
fired. Damn.
But
Okay.
and I found out years later you're working with like one of the best like vocal
I
coaches
work
of
with
all time.
One of the best. I work with Mr. Eric Vitro.
And
Shout out Eric Vitro on that Ariana track. She name dropped Eric Vitro. He is the best.
and he is someone I'm going to talk to one day.
Yeah.
So
You should.
Oh, absolutely,
You really should.
man.
He's
That would
so
be
good.
awesome.
He's taught me so much about preserving my voice. I've like, for touring for so long, I've, had so many issues just here and there. And he gave me a set of warm-ups that I still do to this day before every show. These guys probably like know it. by
yeah.
heart.
Yeah, he has a recording that every show he's 45 minutes before he goes through the whole thing. Like I know what's coming next in every.
Yeah. It's all that sort of stuff. It's great.
Change.
It's so great.
That's wild that your teacher was like, this is unhealthy.
yeah, I stopped working with him after that.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Good for
Good
you.
move, yeah.
Good for you.
But other than that, also some other great songs: "Sucker for Pain,"
Yes.
"Home."
Sucker for Pain is such a funny one, man.
Yeah.
It's such a funny one. Just because it's like, we don't have to go off on a tangent.
I'm
here,
sure we'll
but
go over it because I
yeah,
definitely want to talk about it.
there's a funny story behind it.
But one of the reasons I bring up inspiring underdogs, inspiring the next generation of creatives is the next question I always ask, because I think it always sends us down a fun rabbit hole, is how many songs do you guys think you wrote until you got your first hit?
Oh my God. That depends on what time you officially consider us a band. Because we've been, writing songs since high school days. I mean,
Yeah.
early 2000s. I don't know, to be generous, let's say 10 years before, like, of
my first
music?
band was in 7th grade. I started my first band, and we wrote original stuff. Like, we didn't do any covers. It was all original. So I've been writing songs since I was like 13. Renegades was the first single that did really, really well, and that was in 2015. So yeah, I mean, that was like, I was 26. Yeah.
We had some interesting sort of like brushes though, because there was, Renegades was the song that really put us on the map, but we were convinced the year before that Jungle was going to do amazing things for us. And it sort of did, and then kind of didn't. It's really, it's been a complicated and multi-layered journey to go from, being a high school band to
but I'd say, like maybe, oh my God, probably 200 or more.
At least way more.
It's also
like,
what's a song?
Way more.
Yeah. And also,
you had like 23 different versions of Renegades, by the way, which we might play today, but we probably won't. But we're going to play some. But I mean, if you count 23 versions, and also like the finalizations of songs, and then songs that you like wrote on just guitar, songs that you actually recorded. It's a great question.
Hundreds.
I would guess
hundreds. It's also really interesting
how, by this point.
I'd say probably in the first 10 years of your songwriting, like the way the songwriting changed when we started working with Alex and the like frequency of it. Like, I bet you wrote more songs in 1 month than you did in the 10 years
For sure.
prior.
For sure.
Literally. So it got to a point where, we started writing by us playing a song in a room, like on instruments, looping it, just playing it over and over, like not recording anything. So Sam could like write to it, writing maybe like a song a month or something. And then fast forward to like, by the time we got to Renegades, it was like 20 songs a month.
Yeah.
That's just banging out as many as you can, and of varying quality. But
you guys were touring the whole time, right?
And we were touring.
Yeah, we were touring the whole time. I mean, it was really that era for us was just so hectic.
Like in a van.
Yeah, 15 passenger with a trailer.
Yeah.
So many of the tracks on the original VHS were recorded in that van too, just on laptops and stuff.
There's a song on VHS called Loveless that we were going through the stems from the original session. I was listening to the vocal, and I recorded a lot of the vocals in the back row of our 15 passenger van while we were driving. And you can, on my SM58, and you can hear like a clunk, when we like hit a pothole or something.
And it adds to the song now, right? It adds character.
Yeah, exactly. No, it totally adds character. I'm going to make sure this mic isn't like falling over.
I mean, honestly, nowadays we're like in the studio looking for ways to add in more not odd elements, but more like authentic, environment sounds from our, surroundings back into the music. I
love it. I mean, it kind of became for me such it opened a door knowing that something could be really scrappy, really imperfect, and be a part of a record that did really, really, really well. And I loved that approach. And I was like, oh man, I want everything to feel like kind of fucked up in some ways, and it's kind of become part of our sound.
I love it. So when you were doing shows, at what point do you think everything started to change for you guys?
Oh man, it wasn't until actually probably a fair time after Renegades had gone, big and was a big deal. We were still, believe it or not, like when it was going off during that summer, we were still touring in the 15 passenger van with the trailer. Like things had not upgraded for us yet. It wasn't really until maybe 2016 that we finally got on our first tour bus. I'll always remember that being like one of the most ecstatic experiences for us as a band. The first time we got to go on a tour bus and look around, and it was our bus and we were going to stay on it for the whole tour. It was awesome, man.
Like a headlining tour versus
I mean, it was like, I mean, it felt like, like being a kid in a candy store, man. I don't know what it was, but it was thrilling, dude, being on the bus for the first time. Yeah, that wasn't until 2016.
I think it was 2015.
It was like
midway.
October 2015.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It was I remember we were living in New York. The bus was in Secaucus, where every tour bus parks in New Jersey, right across the bridge. And instead of sleeping at home, we all stayed on the bus in the parking lot because we were just so excited to have it.
Yeah.
Then we're on it the next day in the parking lot and then drove to the gig.
And did you guys continue to sleep on the bus versus anywhere else, like from that point on? Was it ever like, I'm tired of sleeping on a bus, or no?
Oh, yeah.
Now we're
so sick of sleeping on the bus. The novelty of that has definitely worn off.
It's funny though, because it is, that being said, I do get some of the best sleep sometimes on the bus, because it's just like when it's rolling, it's you always wake up when it stops and parks, but while it's rolling, you're in this little like dark cocoon with, lots of, tons of ambient white noise, and you're sort of being rocked by the motion of the bus. It's so soothing, man. It's awesome.
It's funny though to think about that question, and like there have been moments that have been pivotal moments in our career that you would think would be the moments where you'd feel that the most, like having a song go number one, winning some sort of award, or playing the show to, a certain amount of people. It's like, I think for us, at least, the reality has been more so like those little moments of like, getting onto a bus for the first time that's yours. Or I remember when this was 2012, we had a song that this one radio station in Norfolk, Virginia was playing of ours, and it went like, it was the only radio station in the world that was playing our music, and they played
Was there a
the shit
reason
out of it.
why?
This guy just was kind of like, he was like doing his thing there, and
He picked songs that he loved versus like what he was told to play.
yeah,
Right.
and he found this song on a playlist and was like, I'm gonna put this on air because I really love the song. It was a 5-minute long like acoustic ballad in 3/4, and it went number one that year at that station. Like it was the number one played song, like requested.
Yeah.
And we played a show, we were playing shows in New York for,
30
just our
people
friends.
or
Yeah,
like,
30 people or less. And we show up to do an event for this radio station at a water park. And everybody knows the words to all of our songs on this self-released EP that we had out. And it was mind-blowing. That was those are the moments where I'm like, oh, this is happening.
Yeah.
And it's the first time people are like singing your words back to you.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. You just feel it more than those moments of like, oh, wow, like this is, we got that, that's pretty cool.
I've heard you talk about this several times. Isn't that the song like the story that eventually leads to Dan Reynolds and Imagine Dragons?
Absolutely. And it's even
Yeah.
more convoluted than that. So the DJ who originally found that song, it was because we got a little placement, I think through our publishing company at the time, in this show called One Tree Hill. And so the DJ was listening to a playlist
Shout out
from One Tree Hill. He listened to a playlist of music from it, discovered our track, spun that track. The Imagine Dragons guys were playing a show in town, and because that one track had been getting big, I guess people in the town, it was Norfolk, Virginia, and people in that town had been getting familiar with the rest of our music, I guess. And so happened to be a driver driving the guys to or from a gig, I'm not sure, put on, Dan Reynolds asked him what he was listening to, and he put on this acoustic Ultra TV performance we did of Unconsolable, one of our songs at the time. And that was the song, actually, not even Litos, which was the song that was on the radio then, but this other acoustic version of Unconsolable was what Dan heard and the guys in Imagine Dragons heard, and decided that, we sounded cool enough that they were interested in, helping us out a little.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's wild, man. The chain of events that like come together to, to make something happen is pretty crazy.
Yeah, and I remember doing that. This was like at the time it was like there were all these blogs and they'd all have these little acoustic performances that they'd film.
We did so many of those.
Did so many of them, and it was an off day. We were in Pittsburgh.
It was at the venue.
Oh yeah.
The venue we were playing was Alter Bar or something.
Yeah.
And none of us wanted to like do this thing, but we did it. And we said yes to it at the last minute. And if we hadn't said yes to that, then maybe Dan and the guys wouldn't have heard that version and we wouldn't have gotten signed. And, you know, butterfly effect, you know, you never know.
So that's what leads to the record deal, right?
That's what eventually led to our deal with Alex and with Interscope. Yeah.
So, okay, it's interesting because you mentioned Alex the Kid.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned earlier that it kind of pushed Sam to start like writing a ton. And here's what I find interesting. When you were writing songs, and it seemed like Alex was kind of like a sounding board. You would write things, you would send it to him, he'd be like, I like this part, I don't like anything else. But he wouldn't like give you any feedback. It was like, I like this, but I don't like this.
Yeah.
No, yes. No.
And then hit me at like odd hours of the night and be like, where's the verse to this? And I'd like panic and be like, yeah, okay, I'm on it. Yeah. It was tough.
Was there ever like a part of you that was trying to impress while also 100%. Like trying to be your own artist?
100%.
Absolutely. Because Alex was like the first like big successful, you know, music person who really seemed to care and really seemed invested in us. And I mean, it was inspiring, honestly.
It was. And I think for me too, like a part of my personality is like, I'm a people pleaser. I'm also like always looking for like, you know, these like big brother, father figure. And no offense, Casey is my actual big brother. I'm like always drawn towards these people, right? And also like I am an ambitious person. And when that's reflected in somebody else and they're driving you and pushing you, it just like kind of unlocked something in me. So yeah, there were times where I was like definitely trying to like impress this person. And I don't think that was necessarily always a bad thing, because it activated this work ethic in me that I've always had, but it kind of like supercharged it a little bit. You know, we had a complicated relationship. It was complicated. At times, like looking back on it, I've been like, man, fuck that shit. You should have, you know, like had more confidence in yourself, Sam, you know? But then there's also times where I was like, God, I learned so much. It's a double-edged sword. You know, when you have someone who is that influential in their field working with you, you got to really, it pushes you and it tests you and it tests your sense of self-worth in a lot of ways too, you know, in addition to your work ethic. It was a complicated relationship dynamic, but man, really like, that's how I cut my teeth. Yeah. This motherfucker would send me folders full of beats, like hundreds of beats, and I would write to every single one. And that's not how we worked. Again, like talk about output, you know, it was like either me alone in my room with a guitar writing a song, or like in the room with the guys and where they're like jamming on something and I'm like, just keep going, just keep playing. I'm like trying to, you know,
scroll down something in the
It was a totally different process. And then all of a sudden this guy's just like sending me stuff and he's just like, write. That's how I learned.
But it's interesting because that is also what led to a lot of the songs that we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Definitely. And what I find interesting is that I feel like this story keeps getting brought up with Unsteady, one of my favorite songs ever. And what's so cool to me is that it seemed like that song was out for years before it ever caught on. Tell me what happened with that song.
Well, that one, the story behind it was like, at the time, again, we were writing a bunch we were making EPs. We were hoping that someday we'd get a chance to make like a full length record. Yeah. Someone from the label was like, Zed is looking for hooks, looking for songs for his next album. And I was like, okay, maybe I can write like some just kind of simple, like soaring chorus, for a Zed album. And I was in my apartment in Bushwick, and I wrote that hook. I forget either if I started with the piano chords or if I asked you to send me like some simple 4-chord thing.
I remember you were in I was in my bedroom, you were in yours, and you came over to mine and you were like, can you just send me just do these 4 chords real quick, but make it sound like not like just regular. So it was like just a regular 4-chord progression, but then you turn them into sus chords and it's all of a sudden sophisticated. And
right.
Sending that over and
then I wrote that hook and I was like, oh, wait, this is really good. I think maybe I want to keip this.
But I remember you didn't know what it was about right away. It wasn't like right away you were like, oh, this is about this.
No, it was just this kind of vulnerable hook. And then I wrote verses to it that it was kind of more like a love song. It was like you have came into my life and like knocked me off my feet. Now I'm like a little unsteady. And I sent it to Alex and he was like, this hook is great. I don't like these verses. And I was like, oh, okay, all right. Kind of at that point used to don't like it, try something else. But this time, to his major credit, he was like, what about your family? What about your parents? What's your relationship like with your parents? My parents I don't know. This is fine. At the time, like they split up when I was 15 and I was 23 at the time. So their relationship was still pretty contentious. So I was like, I don't know. They're cool. They're divorced. He was like, what you write about that? And I kind of just rolled my eyes. I was like, no one wants to hear me talk about my boo-hoo, my parents are divorced. But I took that leap of faith because I had this, this mentor being like, try it. And so I did it and wrote these verses, and that song changed my life. Changed our lives. And by taking that leap of faith and writing something that felt embarrassing, that was really important. And yeah, to his credit, he was the one who kind of had that idea for me to go there. And I don't know if maybe I would have gotten there on my own at some point, but I think it's really lucky that I had someone like him to push me there.
Divorce is something that happens to a lot of people. Like a lot of parents get divorced, kids go through that. To me, that sounds very relatable.
Right.
What made that embarrassing for you to write about?
I think that I've got this thing where I'm like,
nobody wants to hear about my problems.
Yeah. Sometimes I have that. I have a little bit of that. Like nobody wants to hear about my real shit. And that's kind of like this odd struggle for me as a songwriter and as a creative who is has this drive in him to say, hey, I feel like this. Am I alone here? And try and connect to other people. But I think that, I often growing up minimized, my problems. And I kind of was always like, I gotta be strong. I gotta be cool. I gotta be all right, and that's totally a part of it. I think that my parents' divorce had a huge effect on me as a kid and as an adult, and I should write about it. And I always take it as a rule of thumb. If I feel that sense of I don't want to talk about this, I have to write about it.
But it took a while for that song to become successful, right?
So we put that song out on an EP called The Reason in 2014. And we were on tour. I remember getting a call from Alex or somebody at the label. And they were like, hey, so the person who was in charge of the radio department at the time, this woman, Brenda Romano, I don't know if I'm throwing her under the bus right now, but she was really the kind of end all be all. If she felt like you had a radio hit, then it was going to go. And it was like, I got the calls like, Brenda doesn't really feel like there's a single on here. Or maybe it wasn't just her. It was like the label as a whole didn't really feel like there was a single on.
So they didn't think it was a hit in a sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like, all right, back to the drawing board. And then it was in 2016 when the song got in this movie. It got synced in this movie called Me Before You. And there was like they did this orchestral arrangement of it. And the song kind of took off, and that made it so then the label was like, all right, this is like, people have their eyes on this thing right now and ears on this thing. Let's try and give it a radio push. And it did really well at radio. But to this day, it's so funny because like there isn't a version of, I feel like there isn't a version of the song that like, there's this orchestral version that a lot of people like use still on like TikToks and stuff like that. And then there's the version that we put out on our record. And then there's like, there's a couple other versions of it. There's like not one that's like the definitive
one.
Yeah, there's not a definitive version of it.
They also have been performing it live for years.
Oh
So
my
everyone
God,
hears a different version.
Yeah, I know.
I also heard I watched the documentary you guys just put out about re-recording
Yeah.
VHS.
Yeah.
And there was also this like feeling of like being afraid to re-record these songs.
Yeah, totally.
But at the same time, you guys have been performing them for years. Why did re-recording them feel like such a fear?
I mean, I just think it's hard to like, wrestle with like your first successes. And you're like, for us, it's still, those songs are still like the biggest ones that we've had, and they've kind of loomed large over our lives. And for me, I'm always looking forward and always trying to beat them, and write something that's even bigger and that reaches even more people. So I think, they were kind of weighing a little heavy. And I don't know. It just makes you think about like life and longevity and like, am I a flash in the pan? All those kind of vulnerable things that come up of feeling like, like this was 10 years ago now, and going back to it is I don't know. I'm
a bit of just a mind fuck, honestly.
Yeah,
It's
totally.
just like-
Totally. And I think vulnerable and to grapple with this massively successful thing. And I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's like, it's
very existential doing something.
Yeah,
like
it is
that.
very existential.
It's like it forces you to think about a lot of stuff, forces you to examine like, not only the music, but just through the music, who you were as a person at the time and, where the music came from at the time. And just, it's rarely are you forced to go back and, confront your former self. But I think redoing, an album is one of those times where you have to.
Yeah. And it's scary. It's scary to do that. And I think also like and I've talked about this before, but like, I think with being a musician, you're constantly having to like re-embody this early work of yours and this previous version of yourself. Like, an actor like Robert De Niro is not going and, doing Travis Bickle again. He's not like doing scene for scene, shot for shot Taxi Driver again.
Yeah.
But sometimes they do sequels of movies.
For sure. But it's still a new story.
Very
I mean, you're embodying this character again, but it's a new story. It's there is an element of it that is still new.
So there was a part that was a fear, but what made you decide, like, I know it's been 10 years, which is incredible, by the way, 10 years later. It was like, we're going to re-record VHS now.
Yeah.
What made you?
I mean, I think we wanted to, I'd seen what other people had done around like a 10-year anniversary of something. And it, like it can be very kind of like, we made like a, here's a bonus, like a demo of the, of this one song tacked onto the end of it. There you go. And you make a big deal out of it. And I wanted to do something that felt, like it took it a step further. not just for our fans and for the people that, you know, have supported us for so long, but also for ourselves. And like, what does this material mean to us now as adult, you know, as like grown ass men 10 years later? You know, I'm 37 next month. Like, I'm a totally different person. How do these songs relate to my life now? And I mean, you can't rewrite them, but you can recontextualize them sonically. And we've grown a lot as producers, and to be able to do that again, I think was an interesting challenge. And I like to push myself into these uncomfortable territories.
Yeah.
You know?
That's probably where Unsteady came about in the first place, being uncomfortable to write that song.
Yeah,
that's exactly.
Yeah, I like it. You know, it's terrifying and so rewarding.
Like jumping out of an airplane or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
But speaking of demos,
oh my God,
we actually have. We don't have anything.
I know.
I
brought this upon myself.
If you're watching this, there's a good chance you want to put out music, you already put out music, or know someone who puts out music. And what most people don't know, it was almost impossible to do that back in the day. In fact, Queen had to sell their van just to record their first album. It was impossible to put out music back in the day. And when I wanted to first put out music around 6 years ago, it felt so complicated and expensive, and I didn't know where to start. Well, that was until I found DistroKid. DistroKid is the actual music distribution platform that I've been using for years now. It is seamless, it is easy, it allows me to post my music to every single streaming platform at an annual flat rate. Prices don't change, you don't pay per release, it's just one price that you pay for the year, and you can upload as many songs as you want. There's no gatekeeping, it's just upload and go. And if you're collaborating with other artists, DistroKid makes the process so easy, no more awkward convos, you just split it up based on percentage and it automatically distributes royalties directly. But here's one of the most important things, unlike other distribution platforms, DistroKid takes no percentage of your royalties. So you as an independent artist get to keep 100% of your music royalties. So if and when you're ready to share your music with the world, check out DistroKid. It's had my back for over 6 years now. Head to the description now to check it out for yourself at a discount. And now let's go behind the wall once again.
You brought the original versions of some of these songs, and we haven't talked about Renegades yet, but I figured...
Dude.
Oh
this
my
is
God.
crazy. We haven't listened to these literally in the 10 years since we
Which one should I do
it
first?
Should
I do the OG Unsteady?
Yeah, I feel like we have to.
Okay.
And then you can control the volume.
Oh, I hate this so much. Why did I do this to myself?
I love it. It's my favorite thing in the world. You said you were playing this for your wife.
I played this for my wife this morning. She was like, oh yeah, I remember this. She like had like a visceral memory of it. I fucking hate it so much.
Is this the takey?
That's the
It
take.
is literally.
It is the exact.
I heard it so many times in my ears when we were listening to it last night.
It's the exact same.
It's 100%
piano
the
take. Yeah,
vocal.
we just ripped this section out, I guess.
Wait for it.
Wow, it's crazy. That is something else, dude.
Oh my God, man.
It's funny. It sounds
It's
like
the same copy and pasted verse, so
it sounds like I grabbed all the MIDI notes and set them to just like 100%.
Yeah.
It's just like,
oh, I'm like sweating.
yeah.
I love it.
I hate it so much.
That's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
That is the vocal take, though.
But that is, yeah, it's crazy.
One,
that is fully the take that we ended up using.
Yeah.
So
Piano
it's
and vocal.
even the verse.
No,
For the chorus, that's like the chorus that
chorus
with some extra percussion and other sounds is what's in the final released version, which I didn't realize. That's crazy.
Was it a bit about like being unsteady, like with connection to like being in love or like alcohol or
like being in love? Like that was for me the first concept that I had for it. It was like, oh shit, this person came into my life and just like made me feel just like I've never felt before, and I feel like a little like rocky, a little shook right now. So like hold on to me because I'm I'm weak in the knees. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it makes total sense.
Yeah. So that was that version of it.
And then you took
that chorus,
hook.
and then applied it to a version of the song that was like, I am feeling scared and I'm feeling untethered and I'm feeling alone, and don't leave me, don't abandon me. You know, that's what it then turned into, which is like, I mean, so much more powerful, so much more potent, you know?
It's kind of crazy how the hook could work for both songs.
Yeah.
Though.
People got married to that song. And it's a song about divorce.
Exactly.
You know, it's
the most ironic thing.
But that's beautiful to me too. You know, that I'm not the first person to ever talk about this, but like, you know, a song means different things to different people and comes into your life at different times.
Yeah.
That's the difference between like a song or a poem and, you know, like a story or something that's more concrete. You know, songs and poems the whole point is that they're up for interpretation.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Now we got Renegades too, man. Those are even better.
Yeah. So that song takes a while to become a hit, but the one that like really changes everything was Renegades.
Yeah. It's just such a it's so crazy, man. It's like it was such a different way that songs kind of came into the public sphere, public consciousness back then. Like, now it feels so much more, I don't know, maybe just like this is a little, I don't know why it still feels like naive, but it feels almost more organic these days when a song pops up. It's not, but it feels like it, you know? Back then, the way that Renegades popped was through this big commercial campaign for Jeep, and that whole journey. Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, well, you go ahead and ask. I'm jumping the gun here.
I know you said you may not, I don't know how you all feel about that song.
Uh-huh.
It seems to me like there's some like, we love it, this song popped for us, but at the same time we have a little annoyance towards that this is the song that popped for us because it might be the marketing. But okay, here's what I also think at the same time. That song had to come from a genuine place. And the way that I hear it is it's all about like the underdog. And when you guys were writing that song, it was very much from this place of like, you guys haven't found that success yet.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's so true. That's so true. Like when I wrote that song, it was pretty much right after we had heard that this EP that we put out wasn't going to get any radio love. We had done our first headline tour and it went all right. We thought The Jungle was going to be the big song for us. Didn't end up happening.
6 songs. 6 songs.
That was
six songs.
Such a funny, perfect example too of how something can hit all the check boxes and still just not make it to the finish line. Like, you know, we got that. It was like in a World Cup thing. You know, Jay-Z did a remix of it, but it just wasn't the song.
Yeah. I mean, all of the things that you think would, you know, make it a success just didn't end up happening.
Yeah.
So we were bummed that we didn't feel like we had the label support. We felt like we were maybe in danger of getting dropped. We had done this headline tour and it had done all right, but then we didn't really have anything else like on the books. We got offered to open for this artist who we love, this Canadian artist, pop singer named Lights. She had actually taken us out on our first support tour ever.
Yeah, before we got signed or anything.
In 2012.
Wow. Yeah.
So we're back opening up for the same artist that we opened for in 2012. And again, this is not shade to her. She's amazing. But for us, we felt like we were like back to square one. Still in a van and trailer. Like I was, when we'd come home from tour, I was working 3 jobs. I was bussing at a restaurant near my girlfriend's old apartment. I was babysitting. I was working at a bookstore. I was renting out my room in our apartment in Bushwick so that I could I could still keep my shit there. And then I was staying at my girlfriend, now my wife's place at the time. Like we just felt like we couldn't catch a break. And there had been so many things that felt like they were going to be it. So that was where we were. And that was the kind of headspace where I was at when I was writing that. And there were 23 different versions written of this song because I think I was just like throwing spaghetti at the wall phase where I was like, I don't fucking know anymore, and then finally we landed on this version of the song that was like a kind of folky thing. It felt like at the time I was like, oh, this feels like Mumfordy, like Lumineers-y.
Yeah.
Okay. God, it's fun. It's so funny too. Cause I remember, this is a little bit of a tangent, but when we had that song Lee Toast, do that thing at that one radio station, we had all these meetings and we met with this one label head of one label. And he was like, so this is like an acoustic ballad. Are you guys going to do like a, Lumineers, Mumford and Sonsy kind of thing? And I was like, no, it's not. It's just it's just one song on the record. And he was like, cool. Didn't sign us. Yeah. So here again, I'm faced with another like folky kind of thing that Alex is like, oh, I like this one. And I'm like, okay. All right. And something kind of clicked in me because I was like, all right, I've got this very simple chorus. I have to try and make this about how do I relate to feeling like a renegade? Like it was at the time felt like an embarrassing question to ask myself. Exactly. And then I was thinking about the band, and I was thinking about how we operate too, with Casey being visually impaired, and like we just move different. We move different as a band, like physically through space. We move different, and then also just like we are very tight. We are we are literally family, and then we're family. So that has always I've always felt a little bit like we are on the outside of every scene that we're around in Brooklyn. Like we were making like radio friendly, alternative pop rock when we're surrounded. Like we're the same, we rehearsed in the same spaces like Yesay or, these like really cool, groundbreaking indie artists, Grizzly Bear, this is like, that was that era, and we were just not making that music. There was a guy who was going to produce our first EP who he had done some really cool in Brooklyn indie bands, and I met him through my restaurant job. We ended up doing the EP with our buddy, and I knew he had liked Unconsolable, so I this guy who was going to produce our record, I show him the final product, and he was like, "Oh wow, you made like a radio rock record. Good luck." And so I've always had a chip on my shoulder. And that's what I kind of tried to put into the song through there, through that route. And and it worked. And I think like specifically when it came to the visuals too, leaning into, our story and Casey specifically your journey too.
That was a surprise. It was, so we, the Jeep people who ended up taking the song for their commercial, they ended up wanting us to be in the commercial, and originally we thought we were just gonna maybe be in the commercial for a second. Here's the band, blah, blah, blah. But it ended up being, not only did they want us like featured in the commercial, they wanted us just like being ourselves, essentially. Like, they had me with my cane, in certain shots, just very natural and, authentic, and like us interacting just how we did, just as a bunch of dumbass dudes, and it was pretty miraculous. And that sort of, that kind of, I remember at the time, at least for me, kind of turned what felt kind of like a song that I didn't really feel any personal ownership of into something that meant a lot more to me and to us as a band,
And we leaned into that too, making a music video and featuring a bunch of other folks with disabilities and telling their stories, and because it's part of our story as well. So I think the song now that I'm talking about it, the song does it does still mean a lot to us. I think it's just
Absolutely.
got a little baggage with anything. It was like kind of the one where it's also frustrating when you're like, I've got Unsteady in the, like, you guys didn't give a shit about that one, but like, do you like this one? This is the one that goes, okay, fine. I have no fucking idea like what works.
Yeah.
There's that frustration too. I think that still to this day like lingers a little bit.
Yeah, it messed us up a little bit.
Yeah.
Because we did not love Renegades when we wrote it. We didn't want it to be like the lead single or necessarily even on the record. Because we had all these other songs we thought were better. Some ended up on the record. Like Unsteady was not one of them, because we thought that was like had come out and didn't do anything and it was over.
Yeah.
So it really was more, there's so much personal, like what you love is one thing and what the world loves is another thing. And sometimes it's really hard to make sense of that, especially when it is like, one of the biggest songs of your career and does really well. It kind of messes up your radar for what you like and what you don't like. And is it
totally.
like, okay, should I like choose the songs that I
change my
dislike
taste
the most and release them?
It's great. It
what do you
really
do?
is such a head fuck.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, even recently, like we met with a producer for our last record, and we're working on a song and playing. I was like playing a bunch of stuff, and there was one that was like this kind of folky or like acoustic guitar centric 4-chord thing that felt like in that same vein of Renegades. And he was like, this, like, you guys, this is what your sound is. Don't make the mistake of like trying to go outside of that. And I was like, make the mistake of going outside of that? Like, what do you mean? Like, isn't it my job to try and like follow my heart and evolve?
Yeah.
And it is, there was definitely a time after that song came out and after that first record too, where, you're trying to like recreate, like whether you like it or not, there was definitely a part of me that was like, okay, what worked there? Can I do that again? And will that work again? And you're like, I know it's not supposed to work like that. Like you hear everyone saying like, don't try and like, if you try and recreate what the success of something else, you're going to fail. But then you're like, okay, but if I do it,
it's just human nature,
it's human nature. So you end up going down some rabbit holes there, but I think you have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I think you have to. I mean, for me, it was like the only way that I would have gotten to the point where I'm at now with my creative process was to go through that of like trying to chase that for a minute, trying to chase the success of something that I did in the past. I don't think that there's any shame in that. Like I think that some people feel shame in trying to, recapture the success of something before. And they're like, oh God, why did I try and do that? Of course it wasn't going to work, but gotta try.
Yeah.
Because maybe it will. You never know.
Because maybe it will.
Exactly. You never know.
You really never know.
But speaking of demos,
Oh, yeah.
we have I mean, we don't have anything. You all brought.
Well, it was crazy. So when we were writing this, like,
yourself.
again, this is how it went. So it was like, I'm just throwing shit at the wall. And the way that Alex and I would work, I was writing constantly and sending him stuff. And he was very specific in what he liked and didn't like, but didn't tell me what exactly it was about that thing that he didn't like. So he'd be like, nah. Like, I kind of like that, but keep trying. Nah. And he called me and he was like, I got a word. I got a title. Something with like, he tries writing something like with the word renegade or renegades in it. And I'm like, the first thing I think of is that Rage Against the Machine EP Renegades. Or like, there's like the Jay-Z Eminem song Renegade. I'm like, oh God, another Renegade song. Okay, cool. I'll try and write.
And now there's the TikTok Renegade song.
Oh my God. Yeah. There's like there's renegades upon renegades upon renegades. So I was like, all right. An old tired trope of a song, but here we go. I'm gonna do my best. And like I over the next like month sent 23 different versions of a hook over 23 different like kind of musical bedrocks.
Like different lyrics, different melodies,
slightly different lyrics, all different melodies, but all using the word renegade.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And there's two versions that I sent you. One of them is like, okay.
Is one of them the
this
boom,
one is
bap-a-doo,
yes,
electric
yeah.
dance? Yeah.
This is just the hook. Is the speaker on? It is? Okay. Yeah, that was real bad. Like, I'm like, last night it's like midnight. I'm listening through all these old demos of this. What the fuck was I thinking? Renegades, it's our way or the highway? What the fuck? Like, it's so, that version is real.
The Prince one's cool.
The Prince one's kind of cool. It's just, I don't know. It's wild.
It's great.
It's wild to go back
it.
and listen to these. This is this other version of it with his little tag at the beginning.
Oh, yeah. He had those little tags at the beginning of all of his
tag?
beats. Yep.
This
Every
is
time.
Alex's tag at the beginning of it.
Which I'm sure he recorded himself. That's so amazing, dude. I secretly kind of like this one.
Yeah, I think this one's sick. I love it.
That one's sick.
I don't like that version.
Fully, like, full body sweats right now. I hate it.
Living like we're
Yeah, it's catchy, man.
Oh.
Could have gone the whole Dua Lipa route instead of being an alternative rock band, man.
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
I know.
How did you? So you made 23 versions of that song. How did you end up on the one that ended up coming out then?
Honestly, it was like the one that Alex was like, I like this kind of folky version. Let's keep chasing that. Try writing verses to this. And I was like, okay, great.
Like,
Cool.
Yeah.
You picked one and we went down that route. And that's really how it shook out.
and I mean, you even mentioned Steven Spielberg. You mentioned
Yeah.
Kubrick. Seem like I
Yeah.
don't know if you all are very big movie buffs.
Yeah. Well, our dad is in the film industry. He's a publicist. And our whole lives, we were like growing up in Ithaca, and then he was always like on set working on movies, and we would go, you know, on like spring break or whatever and go visit him on set and see how they would make these films. And it was the coolest shit. And we'd come home and like have all these, you know, have a bigger picture of the world and of the world of like making art and of having a career in the arts. It was such a gift, honestly.
And he's worked on some big movies, right?
Yeah, he worked on some big movies.
I was reminiscing with Chris on the ride over how when our family moved from Seattle to Ithaca, and on the way we stopped off at the Sandlot movie set and got to go in that clubhouse and down the fireman's pole and all that.
Yeah.
It's really surreal in retrospect, man.
He worked on The Goonies.
That's crazy.
Worked on Gladiator.
Gremlins.
And his job too is so funny. It's like the job of the unit publicist is like to essentially
make friends with everybody.
Make friends with everybody, because you got to ask people to like do annoying shit, like, you know, do an interview with, you know, this journalist that's coming on set while you're, you know, like on your lunch break, or like approve photos. And then most of the time he just like hangs out. And it's like friendly guy. That's his job.
So going on set was probably fun.
Oh, it was awesome.
So cool. It was so cool.
I mean,
really, like, yeah.
Got to ride in Harrison Ford's golf cart at one point, man.
That's
Just
crazy.
like so many crazy childhood memories. That
so cool.
Crazy.
Yeah.
We met Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was insane.
Yeah. Our dad worked on Ali,
So-
and it was in Miami, and we met him, and he like sat down and like drew us these pictures. He couldn't really talk, so but he's like, it was good for him to draw.
Wow.
Yeah.
So long story
it's
short,
wild.
movies are a big part of our
big part of our
who we
life,
are,
big part of our childhood, big part of like, I'm also just like a movie fanatic. I love movies.
And also superhero movies.
Oh my
I
God,
do
dude.
love superhero movies.
So here's a question I wanted to ask. You talked about it earlier, you brought it up earlier, and like it may not be considered the best superhero movie, but it's definitely an Oscar-winning. Was one of the few Oscar-winning superhero movies ever.
Okay.
That you guys have a song a part of.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
Which one? Oh.
Yep.
Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Sucker for Pain.
Yeah.
You brought it up earlier.
I did, because it's so funny. So this song has, how many artists are on this song? Wiz Khalifa,
yeah.
Ty Dolla $ign, Logic, Imagine Dragons,
Lil Wayne.
Lil Wayne. Am I missing somebody?
I even heard that there were like some demos that got leaked with some other artists.
Oh my God.
Yeah, there were
crazy.
Yeah.
And us. So I think there's 6 artists featured on this song, on this one song. My part is the last 10 seconds of the song as it fades out. And that is the song that is like still on Spotify. It's like up in it's always been in our like top 5, you know, most streamed songs. It's like the billion Spotify plaque that I have at home. It's like for that song.
The bowl that you can like eat cereal out of.
Yeah. That is like 10 seconds. And the funniest thing was like this song, I'd heard early demos of it too, because Dan had the hook forever, and Alex was like, try writing verses over it. Maybe this could be a good song for you or for them, featuring you. So I wrote a bunch of different versions of verses for it that never ended up, you know, coming to fruition. And finally he hits me and he's like, I'm working on the song for the soundtrack. You remember this hook? And I'm like, yeah, I remember the hook is great. He's like, I got all these artists on it. I just need a bridge. Can you try writing like a bridge for me? And I was like, okay. And I wrote a bridge in 20 minutes. It's just more pain got me begging, 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 begging. More pain got me begging, begging. That's it.
You know, it's funny what
20 minutes of my life. And yeah. So it's so funny.
There were a lot of weird sort of surreal experiences like that in the early days. I mean, there was like, you know, things like collaborations with, quote unquote, collaborations with Eminem. And we never once met the man. Like, you know, it was all just, you know, tracks being sent back and forth over the internet, man. Most of these big collaborations, and of course, being the naive guy, I didn't realize until we were involved with them, that's how a lot of collaborations work, is the people are never in the same room together, barely, sometimes don't even talk to each other. They just, you know, Someone sends you the track, you record your voice over it, you send it back.
I mean, nowadays that's like so normal, but
absolutely.
back then, it would blow people's minds.
Yeah.
That we weren't like, sitting around a table with Eminem, like
discussing
writing.
the song as it's being written.
Exactly.
Nowadays, it's like obviously that's how everything works.
Yeah.
But back then
it was
really
pretty new.
Yeah.
I talked to Skylar Grey, and like she
yeah.
even talked about how like, I mean, she has like 20 different songs with Eminem, and she's only been in the studio with him like a handful of times.
Yeah.
So like, it seems like he's kind of notorious for like being in his own space, writing with himself, and then like just getting a bunch of stuff and then writing the songs he wants to. But the
Very
song
much so.
that y'all made with him was like a very important one for him to put out. It seemed like at the time.
Yeah, we did a couple with him. That Bad Husband song. That was it was like a hook that was like. When did that song come out? 2018 or something? 2019?
Yeah.
And that hook was written in maybe 2013, 2014, So it's been around for a minute.
So do a lot of these demos just then get just passed around to like different people and be like, oh, try this one, try this one, try this one?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm sure I've got songs that my publishers or management is sending around to various people, and I have no idea how close they get to being cut or not, and sometimes you don't know until the song is like out.
That was the whole thing with Alex
crazy.
too. We would never know anything was going to be released until it had been, and he was calling us saying, "Hey, I got Jay-Z on your track."
Yeah,
out of the blue.
Yeah, he did some annoying gatekeeper shit like that, but
he did a lot.
I mean, but we did get Jay-Z on a remix of Jungle, which
that's crazy.
Just rapping about soccer.
Yep,
the wildest verse. I don't know. Have you guys listened to?
Oh yeah, dude,
not a long time.
It is so funny. It's just all about soccer. It's just like
champagne for the World Cup, man.
Soccer metaphors. It is hilarious.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So you guys also though have been very involved in like just movie soundtracks as well.
Yeah.
Also for Bright.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Home with MGK, BB Rexa.
Yeah. That was the first thing. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
That was the first thing that I cut where I wasn't a writer on it, but someone sent me the hook and was like, do you want to be a part of this song? It's like, these are the artists who were featured on it. I knew MGK a little bit. We had like worked out of the same studio a couple times and just like chatted briefly. And it was like a Will Smith movie directed by David Ayer for Netflix. I was like, yeah, sure. I would love to be a part of this. And then I listened to the song too. And that's funny because I like already was ready to say yes even before I heard the song. But then I heard the song too. And I was like, oh yeah, I could see how I could sound good singing this, and recorded it in my little spare bedroom, my old house, and that was it.
We've talked a lot about the hits, and y'all have brought up a lot of this idea of like success and what does success mean. And I wanted to ask, how do y'all define success in your career? Success now versus back in the day. What have you learned now being 10 years into this?
Depends on if it's on a good day or a bad day, what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, really, there's some days where, I can look at, we are touring all over America and in large parts of the world playing, music. Like, damn, you don't get much more successful than that. Like, that is success right there. Being able to do what you love and make a living doing it and travel all over the place. And yeah, and then of course, then there's those days where you're like, we're still setting up our own gear. We're still, like, where's the success, man? We've been working our asses off for this long. It really depends on your mood during the day and, how much perspective you're able to give yourself.
Yeah, I think the painful thing you start to realize the longer you do this is that like you're never gonna, I don't know. I'm always gonna have an imposter syndrome to a degree, and I'm always going to feel like, yeah, I'm not quite where I want to be. Maybe there is a mountain that I will reach the top of where I will finally get up there and I'd be like, oh man, okay, great. This is great. I don't see any other mountains that are higher than this. but I highly doubt that
it's
that's
never
the
gonna happen.
case, you know? So there's no way. And to my knowledge, I don't think any artist in the history of mankind has really ever felt like that. Maybe. But I feel today, my idea of success is if I am pushing myself outside of my comfort zone consistently, and if I am in pursuit of something that feels true and human. I mean, as cliche as that sounds, like that's kind of it. And if I like what I'm doing, you know, I think that there are definitely like what I'm making. If I am happy with what I have made in a day, that's got to be it, you know, because anything beyond that is so out of your control.
And it's so easy to get lost in the metrics of success. And when you get right down to it, it's, you know, being a successful musician it's not a game that you win or lose. There's no one keeping score. I mean, or at least there shouldn't be, you know, it's you're making, you know, art to connect with people. If that art is connecting with people, you're doing pretty good.
Yeah, what fucking frustrates me is the gamification of the music industry sometimes. I you know, I've lived in LA now for 10 years, and there's definitely a thing here where like people really get into the game of it all. And it's like, oh, how can I, like, I'm angling for this and I'm trying to get this. And if I talk to this person, I can get this song in here. And like, you know, they just like thrive off of the gamification of it all. And I'm so allergic to that. Yeah. I'm so fucking allergic to it. I mean, I think to varying, you know, and maybe a part of me is because I like never felt like I was that good at it. But I think a larger part of me is like, I see it as the antithesis of what this should be about.
It's the opposite of authenticity. It's like, if you can't be authentic and also, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? You know, not bootlicking, but essentially, you know, trying to just, you know, play the game, play up whatever you can to get ahead.
And I've fucking done my fair share of it. I've tried it. And like, even to a certain degree, like, felt like I found some success going down that route of like gamifying it. I didn't feel good. I didn't feel satisfied. Not as satisfied as I feel when I'm leaving a room after having written a song that like surprised me, or like I something happened where I these words came to me and they're very real and vulnerable and made me cry singing it. Like, there's no better feeling in the world than that. And a lot of those songs that I've written haven't done nearly as well as some of the other ones. And I don't really care. I mean, like, big picture, I don't care. Some days I do care. Exactly. Some days I'm like, God damn it. Why does anyone care about this? But big picture, I don't, you know.
Success nowadays, I feel like it's always been measured like this. Success is often measured widely, like how many sales, how many streams, how many views. It's never measured deeply. It's never measured like how much did this song connect with like this group of people or connect with this person. And that's the way it also feels like when it comes to content, where like nowadays, like everyone's just trying to get like the most amount of views and everyone's just trying to go viral. And I totally understand that, because that's also the game that I'm playing. But there's also like a feeling of like, I want like these conversations and these things to like truly connect with someone, to go deeper than just to go wide.
Yeah.
I appreciate that so much, man. That's the sentiment I try to live by, honestly. Like, I mean, sometimes quality really does matter over quantity, and everyone seems to be so quantity obsessed these days. It's
and you just never know. You never know. had bands or artists that I listened to so actively as a teenager that meant so much to me. And I bet those artists had moments while I was listening to them when they're in their house, wherever they live in the world, and they're sitting there being like, God, I'm worthless. Like, no one cares. Like, no one's listening to this shit. My songs aren't charting. Meanwhile, there's a kid in Ithaca who is so deeply moved and motivated by this song that this person made. And, we're reminded of that often on tour, when we're meeting fans after shows or before shows, and people are able to tell us their stories in person. And like,
yeah, it's amazing.
I've had mornings where I've woken up and like looked at our TikTok page and I'm like, God, this post didn't do so well. It's only got a couple 1,000 views on it. I feel no one cares. And then I'll talk to somebody, who will talk about a deep cut of ours, that they listened to on repeat while their dad was dying. Like
that rocks you, dude.
Yeah, it really rocks you. And I think it's an important thing to try and remember in terms of quantitative and qualitative.
Yeah.
That's quality.
Yeah.
Right there. So, yeah.
You talked earlier about imposter syndrome. When you say imposter, okay, I'm gonna be 100% honest here.
Yeah.
I don't often like try to like compliment people a ton, but like I do believe that you have one of the most emotional voices, and I also think it may come from like just I did a bunch of musical theater, and I heard
I did so much musical theater,
and you did a bunch of musical theater.
Yeah,
but then like when you even like when you sing the beginning of Unsteady, it's like a part of you like changes, and I feel like a part of you like comes through.
Yeah.
I talked to another vocal coach named Stevie Mackey. He always talks about how like when you are singing, you often, it's almost like Harry Potter, expecto patronum.
Yeah.
You have to go back into your mind for a memory that really connects. So you have to go back to that every single time.
Yeah.
When I see you sing and see you in your moment, I don't know how you have imposter syndrome. So my question is like, what is that imposter syndrome? How is that imposter syndrome there? Like,
I don't know. I don't know.
A lot of it, honestly, stems back to like things like Renegades, where a song that we thought very little of suddenly becomes the one that we're known most for. And just that, that's the biggest example, but there have been little examples of
it's
that
almost like a questioning
career.
Of taste. In a sense.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. The part of that. And then that I feel so, I don't know, I feel so flawed as a human being. I think
that's what makes you human and makes you connect with people,
right? Yeah,
but isn't that the whole image these days? Is you're living your perfect best life, and you're on top of the world, and you have all the money and all the bitches, and
Yeah, we're the bitches, guys.
Yeah, bitches twin.
Wow.
Casey, that's wild.
Oh, that's wild, Casey. Yeah, man, I don't know where it comes from for me. I think that like I've had a bit of it my whole life, and it is the biggest thing I struggle with on a daily basis is just like self-esteem. And I think that I do acknowledge that when I'm on stage and when I'm singing, it is where I feel the most comfortable and where I feel the most myself, and where I feel like I'm able to be this raw, vulnerable, imperfect version of myself. But the second I leave that stage, or the second I'm not singing, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm just a piece of shit, and I'm working on it. I'm working very, very hard on it, because I think for me, it's just learning how to be kinder to myself, and that will help, I hope, eventually with, mitigating my imposter syndrome. But I will say too, that I think a little bit of it is healthy.
Yeah. I think you're right.
Keeps
Pushes
you
you
humble.
to get better.
Pushes you to get better.
Yeah.
Keeps you hungry. I am, as much as I wish that I had more self-confidence sometimes, I am also very glad that I am not ever thinking like I'm the best. I'm the fucking shit. Like I am the best person in this room. Like I have the voice of a golden god. Like I am so glad that I'm not that guy.
Me too.
Yeah, thank God, yeah. This would be a tough band to be in otherwise, man.
Yeah. So I don't know. Blessing and a curse.
Amen.
We talked a lot about y'all's songs.
Yeah.
But we didn't talk about the songs that you've written for others.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One of them that really connected with so many people was, of course, Lizzo. Before she became Lizzo. And Lizzo has such a cool story. I'm such a fan of Ricky Reed. I'm also a big fan of the person who helped Ricky Reed, Evan Bogart.
Yeah.
So like
I know Evan very well. And his
I love
brother
Evan.
Tim. Yeah.
It wasn't like you all worked with Lizzo.
Yeah.
Right?
So here's how it went down. Like I had heard her EP that Ricky had done with her. It had Good as Hell on it. It had a song called
Water Me, I remember.
Water Me on it.
That was great.
Co-written with Evan.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
So
Yeah.
good. So good. And her just vibe and her voice, I was like, I gotta work with her. And so I had just been working with Monsters and Strangers.
Shout out.
Love
Dang.
Monsters and Strangers.
Yeah, those guys are awesome.
Those dudes are so incredible. And they're kind of like a band.
Yeah.
Basically,
I was like, you're a band. And then I was like, I have a band. Maybe we could try our hand at doing something like this. And so when I reached out to my team about trying to set up a write with Lizzo, I was like, would she be down to have us try and produce for her in the room? I can work on top line, and Casey and Adam will work on production, and that's how it'll run. And she was down. She told me later, she was like, I walked in the room, I was like, why am I here? Who are these guys? Like the first day, we wrote Jerome. And the second day we wrote the song called Heaven Help Me. And at the very end of that day, we wrote Cause I Love You.
And that was purely Because I Love You. It was just out of conversations we were having throughout the day while recording Heaven Help Me with her. She was talking about just like an experience she had, and that just very organically just inspired lyrics, and the song sort of came from those lyrics. And
yeah.
It was a really amazing experience, man.
Like we kind of went into that. I knew that Ricky was working very closely with her on the record. So my assumption was that we were just going to we were going to get this kind of demo together for her, and I'll write it together, and then she would take it to, Ricky or whoever was doing the record, and they would reproduce everything, and we'd just take writing credit. But she was like, no, I like these versions. And so then we became producers on a Grammy award-winning record. It's so crazy.
That's amazing.
And it really was just it came from such a genuine place of and simple. It was like, I was drawn to this artist. She was not Lizzo, right? She was Lizzo, but she was not Lizzo, the Lizzo that we all know now.
Yeah.
I didn't care. I was like, I just really fuck with her. I think she's incredible. And then we got into a room together. We wrote these songs, and that was it. And to this day, that was a huge lesson for me, and hugely affirming, because I was like, oh, okay, this feels really good. This feels really satisfying when you just go with your heart and you work on stuff that you are really truly passionate about, and that just feels good, and you don't overthink it, and then it does really, really well. Like that's what you want. That's what you want.
Yeah.
That's kind of that's always the goal.
The dream.
And even if you write something that doesn't do well commercially, you still wrote something that you really love. I have so many songs that I've written for other people that I'll go back and I'll listen to. I'm like, damn, such a good song. Like, and I also remember like the feeling of being in the room together, writing it. That's better than like writing a song that you're not stoked about and then it does well.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, but I think this is bad, but it's doing well. Okay. Yeah. Or like you write something you think is bad and then it doesn't do well. And you're like, well, why did I put that out in the first place? Like, I thought it was bad.
Yeah.
I also love how it feels like with the social media and internet age, there's just so many songs that anyone can listen to at any time that can just like go viral overnight. Like Headlock.
Yeah.
Imogen
Oh my
Heap.
God. I love. We did a cover of it.
Yeah.
We love that song.
That was so
it's so
cool.
crazy.
And I feel like there's like so much pressure because it's the way the industry is. The actual like recording industry has been around for a long time, but it hasn't been around as like a lot of other industries. So like there's a lot of music that has been recorded. Yeah. And I feel like in the way that it has been recorded, the way that we've seen the industry go is all based on like radio. And so it's always like whatever new songs are coming out. But now with like social media and the internet, all of a sudden it's kind of switched to where songs like Maps, Yeahs, all of a sudden like all these songs from back in the day.
I mean, Kate Bush.
Fleetwood. Yeah. Running up the
30
hill.
years later.
Maps. Is that song having like a moment right now? Or
did.
It did.
They don't love you. Have you not seen the trends?
No.
It's
amazing.
amazing.
I'm so like, I really try not to be on social media too much because it just bums me out.
So
makes me feel bad about myself.
There's this really funny like trend that was happening for a while. You know, like the wait before you cross the street, wait. So then people are like, wait. They don't love you. Like there was like this dance.
Oh my God.
I loved it. And then,
that's amazing.
Oh, that's so crazy. Like,
like Fleetwood Mac, the Juice. I forgot what it was.
That,
So like there's all these songs that are connecting with the younger generation, and they also don't know what a new song is anymore because they're just seeing it on Spotify, Apple Music, all these things. So like a song like Unsteady, some of these kids could hear it for the first time and be like, I love this song. Oh, have you heard this new song? Even though it's 10 years old.
That's
so like,
true. It doesn't show the dates on Spotify when the song is released.
You have to like go into it and scroll to the bottom.
So
like, and that's what I was trying to do when I was like looking up some of your guys' songs. I couldn't even find some of the dates. So that's like crazy.
Wow, that's wild. That's a really interesting perspective, man. Yeah, it's a more of a grab bag, more of a mix bag. You're not necessarily listening to whatever the latest, greatest. I mean, a lot of times you are, but I never thought about that before because of the way music streaming works. You're as likely to get a cut from 20 years ago as
I mean, they need to have a playlist called New Music Friday just for you to find out what songs came out.
That's true,
so
man. Crazy. Wow.
I get so much decision fatigue when I go on Spotify now or on Apple Music. Do you get that? Like, I don't know what to listen to anymore.
I don't really listen to music as much anymore.
So like, isn't that sad?
Because there's so much of it.
There's just so much of it, and there's so much great stuff that's coming out all the time that I'm missing because I'm like, I'm just gonna listen to like ambient music, you know, or like Red Hot Chili Peppers record from 1994.
Classic.
Oh man, so good.
They were on that. A big inspiration for you guys too, right?
Huge. Absolutely.
Huge.
Especially in like the really early days of just like, you know, basically figuring out that there was this thing called a rock band that you could be part of. All you had to do was learn how to play an instrument. Like that was, you know, Chili Peppers were one of the, you know, the big influences back then.
I just loved how much they felt like a family.
Yeah.
And how devoted they were to each other and how much they loved each other. Like you could tell those boys love each other.
You guys hear that through the music or you saw it?
Saw it and felt it through the music.
That's awesome.
You know, and then, you know, I was first exposed to them when they had already been around for like almost 2 decades. It was Californication, that record where they're like broken men. You know, like Anthony Kiedis and John Frusciante had both been in like the throes of heroin addiction and had just gotten sober, and they came back together, and like, you know, to see the perseverance of those guys, those human beings, and then getting back together, and like John Frusciante is like can barely play guitar on that record because his like forearms are so fucked up from shooting up, you know, like, but it created this energy on that record specifically that just really moved me. I don't know. And then from there, you know, like I went back into like Blood Sugar Sex Magik and Freaky Styley, Uplift Mofo Party Plan, Mother's Milk, and even One Hot Minute is a slept on record, the Dave Navarro record.
Yeah,
I love that record. But there was this camaraderie, there was this unyielding loyalty to each other that I don't know. I was like, I want that. I want that. That band means so much to me. And I think they have gone through various times of kind of being like the butt of the joke, or like the coolest band. I don't know where they're landing these days, but I love them.
Yeah.
And you know what? I love Anthony Kiedis. I know everyone like kind of like thinks he's the goofball.
That's what makes him authentic.
Yeah, dude. Those guys just have fun.
I also love Flea's voice acting.
Oh yeah, such a good
actor. They don't talk about his acting. People need to talk about his acting more.
Literally, yeah, man. That's true.
Yeah. Huge band.
Yeah, man. Love those guys.
Was the songs that y'all made with Lizzo the first time that you wrote with somebody for someone else in a sense?
No. I had done some songwriting outside of the band I wrote a song called American Oxygen for Rihanna.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you guys also have your own version of that song, right?
Yeah, we did our own version of it, which
like released at the same time, right?
Like, yeah, maybe a couple months after.
Yeah.
And they're very different.
Very different.
I listened to them.
You did, yeah.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
I mean, that song I worked on for a straight year. So I had the hook, the start of the hook at the beginning of like end of 2013, maybe beginning of 2014. And then I kept writing. Alex was like, this is sick. Keep writing it. And I kept tweaking the chorus until 6 months later, finally had a chorus that felt really good. At the time, he was like playing it for a bunch of people. And he was like, I got Dre, like Dre really likes it. It's like, Dr. Dre. Really
That's crazy.
That's crazy. He was like, I think like he might want to use it for his record. And then he was like, start writing verses. And I started writing verses, and none of them were good enough or up to his like standard. And then he was like, I played it for Rihanna, and Rihanna really likes it. I was like, whoa. And then we worked on it like to her direction with it she was like, I want it to feel like a song about, I'm an immigrant to this country, and I want it to be about that. So then it was a process of writing those verses kind of geared towards an immigrant story and taking some of her experience and incorporating into that. And I worked with another songwriter, I'm blanking on her name, on some of the verses.
Candace
Pillage, who had written some stuff with Rihanna.
I forgot.
And then a year later, the song was done. And it was the longest process. And finally, the song came out. I remember it was like, yeah, just another lesson of like, you can have all of the things lined up for something to be a success, and it might not happen still. And I think it's more true now than ever before. Like massive artists putting out new songs, and they like don't do that well.
Yeah.
But like some, unknown artist or an artist from 30 years ago has a song that goes like number one, you know what I'm saying?
It goes viral on
some
social media account.
But it was like
music, man.
She was coming off the success of 4 or 5 Seconds. Anti hadn't come out yet.
It's a crazy song.
Like, it's a crazy song. And it's Rihanna, biggest artist in the world at the time. The song is like political, it's powerful, it's moving. She made this music video. It was right around the beginning of the Black Lives Matter movement, and she made this incredible music video that was like, had me in tears at the end of it. She plays it on SNL the night before it comes out. Everyone's like talking to me like, get ready. Your life is about to change. Like, you're going to have a number one song. You're probably going to win a Grammy. You're probably going to win a Nobel Peace Prize. So I was like ready. I was so ready. And then the song comes out exclusively on Tidal. for the first like
that was a
month,
thing. Yeah.
I think.
Right when Tidal came out.
Yeah.
Right
It
when
was
Tidal
like
came
the
out.
first thing.
Before everyone even like was on it.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly.
And then after that, it was like out and widely available, but didn't change my life. Didn't do anything really. But like, still, I look back on that song. I'm like, man,
It's a really good song.
it's a really good song, and it was such a cool journey to go on.
Yeah.
And then we did our version of it.
And we
Which is
recorded a
also
bunch
sick.
of our songs while Sam was recording. You know, like when Sam was working on American Oxygen, we would come into the studio
Yeah.
and like record one of our songs in the middle of it. 'Cause
Yeah.
They were paying for the studio.
Exactly. Yeah.
That was a big thing.
Yeah.
Like for like weeks.
Yeah.
We'd like come in and set up a drum set and like, you know.
We worked on part of our record on Rihanna's dime.
Yeah.
It's so crazy, man.
But yeah, I mean, it was a huge moment for me personally, because like that's also for songwriters. I feel like it's like that's up there with like, oh wow, you want a Rihanna cut, you want a Beyonce cut, you know?
Yeah.
Like that was kind of it, and I did that. It was really cool. But a song like Renegades changed my life probably more substantially. Song that we wrote for us
way more.
for a commercial.
Yeah.
You know, like,
But to be fair, y'all didn't know it was for a commercial when you were writing
No.
it.
No.
we didn't.
He kept that under his hat.
Yeah, no, it was very.
We were on that. We wrote Sam wrote like that hook over the Alex beat in January. We went on a tour, the Lights tour in February that he was talking about earlier. Halfway through that tour, Renegades came out, and we didn't go home for 9 months. It was like,
Yeah.
oh, you guys are going to be home March 15th. Like now you're, you know, doing like a headline tour and then a radio tour, and then you're going to Europe, and then you're going, you know, here and there and doing another US tour. And it was just like, it happened so fast. Like even for modern times, it was like from writing the song to it being like number one at alternative radio was maybe 4 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Surreal.
It was really crazy. But we were also kind of ready for it too. You know, we had been a band for 7 years at that point, and we were like waiting for our shot, and then it came. We were like, okay, we're fucking ready. So yeah.
I will also say though that I'm technically not a millennial, not a Gen Z. I'm what's called a zillennial. Like,
It's the first time I've heard that term, dude.
Because
I
when I
love
was
that.
born, it was like a specific time period where it's not Gen Z and it's not a millennial, and so I could just be like when I was born. I didn't know that song was for the commercial. I only knew the song or from the radio.
Yeah.
So just so you guys know, and I also talked to other people about it, and they had no idea about the commercial at all. They just knew the song.
Yeah.
So like,
see, there you go. We all live in our own little private universes of like shame and weird shit.
but what I will say is anytime I mention X Ambassadors, the song that immediately connects and the one that everyone brings up is always Unsteady.
Yeah, I know. And I think that speaks to that song in particular, just because it came, again, from such a vulnerable place. And that's kind of been, you know, the thing that I wear the proudest on my sleeve, you know, and that I'm always pushing us and myself to go into, you know, those uncomfortable places.
And it's interesting though, because like one of the things I always like to focus on is also like the songwriting that y'all do with others. And like I was given like a bunch of artists that y'all have like worked with, like written and produced, people like 21 Savage, people like The Weeknd, like SZA, like Maren Morris.
Yeah.
It's just kind of crazy that like how long y'all have been in the industry, making it work, doing all these amazing things that people may not know. Like the fact that y'all did a song with The Weeknd is crazy.
So that whole project was so wild. Ricky and me, we were working on our record together with Ricky. And Ricky, after the record was done, he was like, hey, I just got asked to do the soundtrack for the last season of Game of Thrones. Do you want to write some songs with me? And I sent him this song that ended up being the first song on the record, the Maren Morris one, Kingdom of One. And I just demoed this out on acoustic guitar, and he was like, I think he was kind of testing the waters with me to see if I could write some stuff in this vein. And he was like, this is it. And then from there, we wrote like 8 songs together. A couple others came from outside and from artists just directly, and that Ricky and I had nothing to do with. But yeah, wrote a bunch. And one of the songs was the song featuring, it was The Weeknd, SZA, and Travis Scott.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Power is Power. And I wrote the hook on it. And again, like I'm thinking Game of
wasn't
Thrones.
even in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Biggest show in the world.
Biggest
The
artist.
Weeknd,
Yeah.
SZA, Travis Scott, like biggest artists in the world.
Yeah.
And nobody even knows that soundtrack like exists. I don't know.
I didn't know it existed until I found out about it.
Yeah. It was
It wasn't even in the show.
No, it wasn't in the show.
It wasn't. It was just like
It was
a thing that was uploaded to Spotify.
Did it
called
play
Game
in
of
the end
Thrones
credits at
soundtrack.
all?
No,
Wow.
nothing like that.
Nothing.
Craziest shit, dude.
So wild.
Yeah,
So
it was
wild.
crazy.
But let me tell you, that soundtrack slaps. It's so I am very proud of the work we did
Baptize
on
Me's
it.
on it.
Yeah, a song that we did with Jacob Banks is on it.
Sick. I love that song.
A song I wrote for James Arthur is on it. There's a song that is Ellie Goulding. That song, Hollow Crown, is so cool.
Oh yeah.
There was one that Len and Stella did. It's a killer soundtrack, and it's got such a vibe. And I'm so proud of it still. But it was just the funniest thing. I was like, how did this not get any visibility at all? Like,
I mean,
zero.
I think it does have like 200 million streams on Spotify, like the Power is Power song.
Yeah. I've heard it at like Equinox.
Yeah, my dude.
Shout out.
You know, that's how you know you got
I hear
success
the
right
most
there.
random shit at Equinox.
Yeah.
Like we hear like bands that opened for us in like 2011,
So wild.
and it'll come on.
Does that count as like a radio? Like
That's like
spin?
I think that's something.
So,
I don't know.
'Cause, like-
you can ask the manager.
Yeah, I was incredibly Chris.
He says yes.
Yeah.
So like, okay, one thing I will say is that I've talked to a lot of songwriters like Justin Tranter, and
Love
Tranter,
We worked with him.
Love
a bunch.
Justin
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah.
Tranter's
did some
amazing.
songs on Orion, right, with him? Didn't we do?
Yeah,
didn't
we
he
did
do
a
that?
song
Recover.
Recover. Yeah, Recover. That was the one.
And some other ones that I think didn't
Never
come
came
out.
out. But yeah.
Tranter was talking to me about how like streaming pays nothing,
Yeah.
and like even as an actual artist or a songwriter, what you always have wanted is radio spins because of publishing,
Yep.
and then also you want sync.
Yeah, that's
and, like,
the other big thing.
That was y'all's first hit was like a sync that was also played on the radio a ton.
Yeah.
That's
That
why it
seems
finally worked.
life-changing.
It was life changing. It was totally life changing, man. Like, and I think that's a hard thing also too to live with, because you have that's like the bar is set there. That's a high bar,
Yeah.
you know, and it's hard to land something like that these days. It is so hard. The sync world has changed so much. The radio world is they're all just looking at what
just
is working
following
in
streaming,
streaming. They're all streaming is like,
So streaming's
Based on-
guiding everything.
Pretty
now?
basically.
I know,
Yeah.
TikTok is guiding.
Yeah.
So TikTok's guiding streaming, which is guiding what the other people play.
Yeah, which is
Essentially,
guiding
yeah.
what radio. Like, you're not someone. I'm not the numbers guy, but someone told me recently that you have to have like a crazy amount, like 600 million streams or something on a song for top 40 radio to like consider putting it in
Consider.
Yeah,
in
dude.
like, you know, heavy rotation.
Crazy,
Something
man.
like that.
And then the only way to
Within
get,
like the first like 24 hours or something.
Yeah.
Something crazy.
and the only way to get streams is to go viral.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's really it's a wild world we live in, man.
But I think also it's always been
That's true.
weird and,
Yeah.
and wild. And at every point in the music industry, there's always going to be people being like, yeah, I don't know what to make of it this time, you know?
in a way, it is. this is sort of more the Wild West, though. There's almost less gatekeeping in some ways than there ever has been in music before.
Yeah. Yeah, but that song, having both of those things, completely life-changing. Completely life-changing.
And Unsteady was also like synced in TV shows, right?
Yeah,
I
synced in
even
a
saw
lot
it
of
was like
TV.
on Lucifer, like
Yeah.
on Netflix.
I mean, it was the sync that really brought it back to life. I mean, it was just sort of, a B-side until it got that big sync with Me Before You. And
Yeah,
It's funny
Me
though,
Before You, Lucifer.
Like those syncs, if you're talking about like life-changing money stuff, there's songs that never even came out that were in a Ford commercial or something that paid way more
Yeah.
than
Interesting.
the
Yeah.
life-changing
Yeah,
things.
it's
Like
really
Renegades didn't pay. We didn't like make money off of the song in the commercial. It was like the best promotion in the world. We would have paid for
Yeah.
Yeah.
but they paid a regular sync fee and maybe some like SAG fees for being in the commercial. But it's a lot of times it's like these weird other syncs, like the Big Sync. Remember?
Yeah, we had
this song called Big that like was not big at all. It like got this Ford sync for like a ridiculous amount of money, like 10x probably what we got paid for some other one.
Yeah.
And it just renewed for years and years and years. And that's cool. But what's really way more life-changing is like something like Renegades, where it's not even about obviously the money. It's just like that kind of
Exposure.
lightning in a bottle moment of exposure is super life-changing and allows you to do more. And we had so many syncs after that because, we had so much success in sync. Then on the next record, everyone wants first dibs at syncing the songs because you had so much success. And then we had Boom on the second record, which is in Sonic.
Yeah.
Which is probably like one of the biggest.
Which Sonic?
Syncs.
The first Sonic movie. Yeah. That was also another crazy one where it's like the song was supposed to be synced in that movie like right when it came out, right when the album came out, 2019. But then they like teased a picture of Sonic with like very like lifelike features.
You mean like what they call ugly Sonic or
Yeah, man. You know
Reddit.
about the outrage after that, right?
And then they had to change it, but then it like changed in a week, so everyone's like conspiracy, it was on purpose.
But it took them a year. It took them a year to like redo all the graphics for it. So then our song that was synced in the thing didn't come out till well after the song had been released.
In the
it ruined our campaign.
It ruined the whole campaign.
Goddamn Sonic, I'll tell you.
So funny.
Wow, I didn't know any of that. That's cool. But then y'all have also like toured like nonstop for years.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I'm hearing I do what I do for Behind the Walls. I listen to as many interviews as possible.
Yeah.
And the amount I hear that y'all have been toured, it seems like you guys are like one of the most practiced bands there ever is. Like touring for 4 years straight is crazy.
We did tour basically for 4 years straight. I mean, like,
yeah, it really was.
Look, you have like little breaks here and there where it's like, you get a month at home, and then you're back out for like another month. And sometimes it would be like you're gone for like 2 weeks, back for like 3 days, and then you're gone for a week, and then you're back for 4 days, and then you're gone for 3 weeks, and then back for like 2 weeks. It's just like one of those constant kind of like,
the
probably got
whiplash
really
is
good.
almost as bad as being out.
But I think it's slowed a little bit. I mean, the pandemic kind of obviously put the brakes on touring for us majorly. And
For everybody,
For everybody. And since then, it's been a little more start and stop. But it's also really hard to tour now, man. Like, it's getting harder and harder and harder. We've
Because
had...
of like life or just in general?
Just in general, like financially. I'm talking about financially. It is really hard to tour. Like, across the board. You have
costs
to like...
on everything have gone up.
Yeah, costs on hotels, costs on gas, costs on flights, costs on like, then people got to like raise their
ticket prices.
Yeah, ticket prices. You have crew that have to ask for more money because their rents are going up and like, price of living is going up. So they got to charge more. And it's really, really hard. So like even a band like us that's been doing it for a while, and we are very successful. Like we have had to scale back and reconfigure stuff and like tighten up the production budgets and in a lot of ways it was kind of it's been an interesting challenge too, because we in 2019, right before the pandemic, we were like touring with a big production and like had all these moving pieces, and we were also kind of gearing towards like leaning more and more on the production being the part of the show that was the most enticing for people to watch, for our audience to watch. But luckily, that's also like not, we are a band that we could perform with no production. The goal is to be able to perform with no like fancy, LED screens or lighting packages or anything, and still be able to kick ass.
Yeah.
And having to scale back makes you really think about the show again. And the performance and how you're moving, how you're taking up space on stage. That's all crucial. I would say more so even than like, having big LED wall behind you and like a moving, space.
Exactly.
Pyro and cryo and all that shit. But yeah, it's really hard. And I've been just seeing so many interviews with artists who I'm like, really? It's hard for you had to cancel a tour? It's wild. And I don't think that people really realize how tough, and a lot of venues have closed too. That's another big thing,
especially during the pandemic. That changed things a lot.
But it's tough to tour right now. It's hard.
So it's almost like the classes of artistry. It's like if you're not in like the top echelon, it's very difficult to tour nowadays.
Yeah,
so much.
Very reflective.
Even if you are in the top echelon, like I think it goes all the way up.
Yeah.
It's more expensive for Taylor Swift to tour. Obviously, she's selling out every show and insanely profitable, but I'm sure there are arena acts having the same issues.
Yeah.
So margins are not big on touring, and the upfront costs are huge.
Yeah.
There's so much overhead, there's so much upfront cost and so much risk. You can't guarantee how many tickets will sell, all that, how many things will break that you have to replace.
So with margins changing, do you find that touring has now become more of a marketing play? Because it's like you get to show your music to more fans and like connect with them deeper?
No, I think it's still the case that touring is where you go to make money. I think it's just become a lot harder on the base, just cost of everything. Like what an arena act or an act playing like large clubs or like our size venues, whatever, is getting paid is not the same. Is not different from 10 years ago, but the cost of gas and hotels and everything has doubled. So, a lot of it's just very hard to make a tour profitable, even if it sells well, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Even if you sell out, there's no chance of it being profitable?
No. No.
You just really have to.
I'm not saying it's not profitable. It's profitable. It's just way harder because the cost of
everything. I've never toured. I'm very new to this world.
No, it's really true though. And also as you tour more, on our first tour, we went out with like one guy setting everything up and no monitor guy. We're using like you could go on tour and sacrifice the quality of the show to make more money.
But you don't.
But you learn how to do a show correctly and efficiently, which is cost more. You need more people to do that.
Yeah.
And you kind of learn, and then it's really just the costs of
frugal
operation
touring
has just gone up. Buses, everything.
Yeah.
So what you're doing now is very different from what you've done back in the day.
No.
I would. And the margins are tighter, but I think the mechanics of it. I mean, it depends on what era. What we're doing now these days is actually more akin to what we were doing back in the day. Where we're sort of more hands-on. There was a period there where, for instance, I didn't even know exactly all the ins and outs of my keyboard rig that I was using. So if something went wrong, I had no idea how to troubleshoot it. Now I'm back to, I've set up all my sounds myself. I know exactly how everything's working. If, something goes wrong, I know generally how to troubleshoot it. But yeah, I mean, I think that's, as far as our touring mechanics go, that is the biggest thing. We right after Renegades blew up, and because we were touring so much, our touring apparatus kind of ballooned crazily. Like we suddenly had, pallets of gear that we were shipping to every show, and this whole complicated, keyboard rig and all these complex systems that, were great when they worked, but sometimes wouldn't work and also were expensive. And I think that we've sort of, post-pandemic, gradually really learned how to streamline what we do and learn to how, to prioritize like what makes a good show versus, all the extraneous fun toys that, you get to play with, but that, sometimes don't necessarily contribute that much to the actual experience.
Yeah.
And one thing I'll say also, I was just thinking about this right now as you were talking, Casey, was I saw you on Larry King.
Oh, man, he was cool.
I forgot about
he
that.
was awesome, dude.
Larry King?
Yeah, dude, that was awesome, man.
That's
I forgot
wild,
about
dude.
that. It was
That's
so cool.
sick.
It was one of the cooler things I've done, honestly. That was
sick, by the way.
Yeah,
Also,
dude.
just hearing that come out of your
Yeah.
mouth. I saw you on Larry King.
Actually, man.
Rest in peace.
That and then
wild.
I think the Larry King interview and then like being inducted in the Space Camp Hall of Fame are two of my proudest moments, I'd say.
What is Space Camp Hall of Fame?
Space Camp is this camp down in Alabama that it's like, NASA astronaut training for kids. And I went there a couple times as a kid, and a couple years ago, it was like 2018 or something, 2019. They offered to induct me into the Hall of Fame. And it was the craziest thing I've ever done. It was like,
wow.
Me, some dumbass keyboard player, and then 3 actual astronauts. Like it was the craziest shit.
Like the
It was
first
so
female
cool.
to do a spacewalk.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
insane, man. I was a little out of
like,
my
I'm
league.
blind.
Yeah, exactly. I can play
like
the piano
space.
a little bit, and I know a lot about rockets. That's about it. It was very humbling, but also the coolest shit. It's crazy. And then, Larry King he's the man, dude. It was a very cool interview, man. I just remember him he's such the consummate professional, man. Like instantly, you are in the hands of Larry when he's.
that guy
starting
has
out.
literally interviewed the most important people in the world.
Yeah, actually, and
in
it
his
shows.
lifetime, every single one.
Yeah.
It shows, man.
Insane.
Yeah.
He is so cool.
And what was interesting is he brought up, for you specifically, he brought up Stevie Wonder
Oh
and
yeah,
Ray Charles.
Yep. Though I mean that bar, like I always say to people, that the bar for a blind musician, particularly a blind piano player, has been set absurdly high. You really, how are you going to compete with Stevie Wonder or Ray Charles? Like that is
exactly.
two
That's insane.
musicians who have changed musical history.
Yeah.
Like, that's I can only aspire to leave a small ink spot on the musical history of the world compared to them, man.
Yeah, the bar is set very high.
Yeah.
But was them like being as successful as they were like a big like inspiration for you?
It's funny. I don't think I knew, honestly. I knew about Stevie Wonder. I didn't even know that much about Ray Charles until, probably my teen years. And it's funny. It was never really something I even thought about or talked about much until that movie, the Ray Charles movie came out. And then everyone was talking about it. And then it was like, oh man, yeah, this guy, like, yeah, the story of Ray Charles is just, you couldn't write something more poetic. Like it's crazy. And such a monster musician and such a game changer as far as the whole music, industry and the sound of music goes. Like, it was, I think later
his masters too.
Yeah. Oh my
crazy.
God. Like really before his time in so many ways. And I think that, in my later teen years and early 20s really influenced me a lot. And Stevie Wonder, it's funny. I almost never thought about his blindness, but I was obviously a big keyboard guy. And man, if you want to, find some classic records with, cool keys on them, every single Stevie Wonder, record is made for you. So it was, he was a huge influence on just my early like keyboard styling. And I finally got to meet him. Actually, there was some weird event dinner that we were all at, and he happened to be there too. And Sam and Adam brought me over to him to say hi.
That's so
And it
We
was
were like, he's blind too.
yeah. And I tell you, what a class act. I sat down and he started talking to me like we had known each other for years. He was telling me all about this new like instrument, the harpeggi that he was learning. And like he was, working on a new project, and just like truly a gentleman and a classy human being, man. It was
Also,
so cool.
while we played at this event, it was like a charity event, and while we were playing Joyful, he closed his eyes and was like jamming along,
Yeah,
doing like the
dude,
classic
sweet.
Stevie Wonder dance. It
it's
was
amazing.
so great, man.
wild.
So cool.
Yeah, he seems
It
like
was insane.
the nicest dude in the world.
He really
Yeah.
was. Like everything you hear about him is true, man. I mean, at
Yeah.
least, in that, brief time in person with him, he's, just such a down to earth human
I've heard
being.
that. I know people in his band who have said that he's like the nicest person to work with and for.
Genuine,
which is amazing.
such a cool guy.
Yeah.
So long story short, yeah, they influenced me a lot, I guess.
But being on Larry King and doing a full-on interview with Larry King, that must have been
Dude, that was
sick.
just like to
surreal.
have that as like an opportunity.
That
It's
was
probably next
surreal.
level.
And growing up, I mean, in like the NPR household that we grew up in, that's like the pinnacle interview you can get. I don't really know how it happened, but yeah, I'm definitely taking
you're
that one to the
blind.
grave.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
blind.
I'm telling you, man, that's the secret. All you got to do
If
is
you weren't
be
blind,
blind.
Sam would have talked to Larry King.
Yeah, exactly. Let this be a lesson to you all out there.
Yeah.
The key is to be blind.
Yeah, that's the key to success.
Over the last few years, I've sat down with some of the greatest minds in all of music, and they've told me stories and given me some of the best tips that changed my entire perspective on creating. And I'm looking to give that to you because I'm hoping that it can help you just as much as it helped me. My goal with Behind the Wall is to shine a light on the people and stories behind music, movies, and media. It's to inspire the next generation of creatives, but it's also to create the platform that I wish I had when I first started making music, when I first started being creative, when I first started making videos. Behind the Wall has taught me so much on this journey, and I want to take these lessons that I've learned and help the next generation. So I put together 15 of the most important and impactful lessons that I've learned on my own journey from these people directly, from some of the greatest minds in all of music. People like Chris Martin of Coldplay, Benny Blanco, Ryan Tedder, Julia Michaels, Amy Allen, Bonnie McKee, Savan Kotecha. So many of the greatest minds in all of music, people that I had the pleasure and privilege of interviewing. People like Ryan Tedder, who gave me one of the greatest pieces of advice that helped me on my own journey. People like Benny Blanco, who changed my entire perspective 6 years into making music. People like Marshmello, who taught me that as long as something sounds good to you, it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. And I'm looking to pass this knowledge on to you, which will be 15 lessons from the greatest minds in music, which will be in the description completely for free.
And now let's return to Behind the Wall. It is also interesting because one of the interviews I was also listening to was Ross Golan on And the Renegades from
my
back in the
God.
day.
Yeah.
And he said that people love writing with y'all.
Mm.
And I was going to ask, like, why do you guys think that is? Like, why do you think people love writing with you?
Because we make good music, but we're just a bunch of doofy ass dudes who like to hang out and talk and, have a good time,
Yeah, I don't know. I think that I really like to try and look, everyone has their own approach. There's some writers and producers that I've worked with who their whole thing is like, I'm going to be very confrontational. I'm going to make you feel uncomfortable. I'm going to make you feel the pressure right now. And we're going to see what happens. Like, I want to write a number one. I want to write a smash today. Today is going to be a like only hits. And like, I'm going to tell it, and I'm going to push, and I'm going to really like right out the gate, just like make you feel uncomfortable. And like, there's something about that sometimes that can
Pressure
work.
makes diamonds kind of thing.
Sure. And
I think there's
I don't-
enough pressure in a songwriting session anyway.
that's
Like
kinda
you
how I
feel so much
That's the
pressure
opposite of how
going
Sam
into
is.
it anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my goal usually is to like, I want to try, I always feel for me, when I'm making my best stuff, it's when I feel comfortable, like I'm in a comfortable environment where I can be vulnerable and I can like go out on a limb and talk about my life or talk about how I feel about something or give my opinion on this or like, put on a weird voice or like try something new. And so I want everybody around me in the room to feel comfortable and like they are in a position to do that. I also want to challenge us all, but I don't want everyone to feel too comfortable that they just like don't want to make anything. I want to make something. Like I think we all go into a room you know, with the intent of like writing something really, really good. I don't think anybody walks into a writing session and is like, I think I want to write something
like the deep cut.
Yeah. Like, okay. Today. Yeah.
Let's make the album track.
No.
Exactly.
So, but I want to try and create that environment. I think when we are working on something together with an artist too, as a production team, we really want to try and create that supportive environment and not have it feel like, take the pressure off a little bit.
Honestly, when we do sessions, a lot of it, like the first, like sometimes hour of the session is mostly just conversation. Like it all very much like, when we work with an artist, we want to find out, what emotionally moves them. And, it's not even spitballing ideas. It's just having a conversation about life. And so often that leads you to an interesting concept for a song and, go from there. But it's so much of our process, I think, involves getting to know the person we're working with. I think that's such an important part of, writing a good song with someone is finding out, what they're like and what they're, what they write and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm also always curious. A question that I often am asking like an artist when I sit down with them for the first time, I'm like, what's the whole project like? Like, what's the big picture project you're working on? Right. Like, or like if you don't have the album yet in your mind, or you don't have songs for it yet, and you're really at the beginning, like, what are some themes that you've been kind of like knocking around in the back of your brain? Like, I really get fired up when I start talking or thinking about those bigger picture kind of like pie in the sky things. So that's also a really great, I feel like, entry point and a way to like get somebody relaxed and excited. Cause then all of a sudden you're talking about something that's bigger than yourself. You're like this thing that is so huge that's out there that's just floating around in the ether. And it's less about like, like, why haven't you written this? Or like, you should be writing a song like this. I think that this song you did is not it. And I think that you need to push yourself further. Like, you can get to a place like that once you build that trust, I think. But it takes time. And I don't know. I want to, if it's the first day working with somebody new, I want to be able to first be like, hey, this is a safe space. I've been in enough rooms where it hasn't felt like that. And that sucks.
Being in a safe space.
Yeah. Like I've had rooms, I've been in writing rooms that have felt so weird and so pressury and like just not conducive to making something that is raw and authentic. And I'm like, I don't have time for that shit.
I've talked to a lot of producers who have the different mentalities where it's like someone like Benny. Benny was like, it's always about just like having a conversation with them, making them feel as comfortable as possible.
Yeah.
Like his example with me was I would call, like, what's your favorite food? And I said it, and it was my mom's chocolate chip pumpkin bread that she makes. And he was like, I would call your mother and I would ask her for the recipe and I would have it ready. And that's what he said. But then I also talked to some other producers, like Tricky Stewart, very talented music producer. But he was like, I am here. Like there's an ecosystem. I have studios. I have people that work for me. This is a business. This is a music business. I'm here to make hit songs. So it seems like there's a lot of people who have different philosophies. Totally. And every philosophy can work for different types of people.
Yeah. Whatever.
Different types of music. Like you said, it's like, you're not going to survive being a pop producer or songwriter if you don't go try to write a pop hit every day. It's like if you're, making some other genre or, just doing something different, like it doesn't matter. But like for that, it really is like that. It's so hard. There's so few hits. You have to just focus and pump that out, but it's not very fun or fulfilling.
I don't know. I can only speak from my experience, and my experience is whenever I sit down to try and do something, to like try and write a hit, I don't. And whenever I sit down and I don't try and write a hit, I write something and I try and write something that feels like real and that comes from some authentic place in my life. I leave with something that I like. Maybe it's a hit, maybe it's not. That's up to fucking universe or whatever, you know, like I've never ever sat down to be like, I'm gonna write a fucking smash today, and it ends up being a fucking smash. Like, never happens. So
Would that was the case.
but some people can do that, and
It'd be easier if it was that.
Yeah,
It would be
exactly.
so great.
Yeah.
It'd be so great. I also love Benny. I've only written with him once, but just like instantly was like,
He's the
oh,
greatest.
yeah, he's the greatest.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, he's the greatest.
When I started Behind the Wall, it was to shine a light on people and stories behind music, movies, and media, but it was also to inspire every underdog to go for it, to inspire the next generation of creatives.
Mm.
When I first started into social media, I had an iPhone 6S and I recorded a 2015 MacBook Pro, making these stupid little videos, songs that sound the same part one,
Let's go.
and like,
Nice.
and then made 5,000 videos until like eventually like one went super viral
That's
about
it.
Ryan Tedder.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then
I
he
see
saw
that.
that, and then the rest of the music industry. So like
Yeah.
when one of the songs that we didn't have a ton of money growing up when my dad got laid off, and I couldn't all I could ever have are like iTunes gift cards to buy songs or listen to the
The
radio.
best.
Yeah.
The
So
best.
one of the songs that I always loved as a kid was Unsteady, and so that song really connects with me.
Thank you, man.
And to be able to sit and to talk to you guys now about like your whole story just means the world for me. So
Thank you, dude.
my question that I also want to like have everyone out there who's listening right now, most of the people are creatives, songwriters, artists. Some people are just going to be fans of you guys in general. What is a piece of advice you have for anyone out there that wants to get into a creative field?
I would say that it's okay if it is not the thing that is your primary source of income.
Oh yeah.
We are lucky in that we got a break, and this became our primary source of income. It is okay if it is not your primary source of income. I think that is such a huge weight that people think that is like, if I am to be an artist, that has to be the way that I make money. Yeah. It's bullshit.
And that's
it's bullshit.
It's
and
so antithetical to what you should be making art for, which is for the joy of making art.
And because there's something in you that is compelled to, that is called to do it. There are so many examples of artists who I think of. Okay, so it's a little. Granted, he's still making money off of like making art, but there's a director. He directed this movie Tar. I'm blanking on his name right now, but I found out. So like directing a movie like Tar with Cate Blanchett, like critically acclaimed. I think it maybe won some Academy Awards or award. Incredible film. I don't think this guy made any money making that, but he makes most of his money by being a script doctor. He like fixes, someone will send him a screenplay that like is for some big, maybe a superhero movie, and it needs work, but they can't add another writer on it. So they need a ghostwriter. So the studio is going to pay him a bunch of money to like fix the script and keep his name off of it. And that's how he makes his living. And there are so many examples of artists who make most of their living not off of what you know them for.
Yeah.
And I think that also translates to like just being an artist in general. Like if you are working at a restaurant, if you're a bartender and you got to do that to pay your rent and to like feed yourself and to maybe feed your family, but you're also a singer-songwriter, that does not, just because you are also a bartender does not mean you're not a singer-songwriter, that you are not an artist. And I think if you can be okay with that, then that's just
half
unlocks
the battle. Right?
It's half the battle. Yeah, but it's so fucking frustrating that like we put so much pressure on ourselves to like have it be that is the defining thing about being an artist. It's like if I like someday like that I have to make all my money doing this thing. That's that. I feel like take that weight off your shoulders.
Yeah.
That's the best piece of advice that I could give somebody.
And I think it gets down to something just as simple as, make sure that you're making art for the sake of making art. Like if you make art for any reason other than that, it's gonna turn sour after a while. If the creative process isn't what you love about it, then find something else, because it's that process is the one thing you can count on throughout your artistic career is that process.
Yeah, and this job is heartbreaking.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking.
You said, actually, I was listening to one of the interviews, you said that being a musician is one of the hardest jobs.
Yeah, I was going to say to go
it's the
have someone
easiest and the hardest.
kick you in the nuts repeatedly for years.
Yeah.
That's my advice to
proverbial
prepare.
nuts.
Yeah,
That's your best preparation.
Your little Rochambeau,
Because that's what happens. But that's also like huge part of it. It's just persevering.
Yeah.
Because, and like Casey said, and I really like Sam's answer, actually. I've never heard you give that answer.
Yeah.
Like, I know so many people who are like, I think like going off of your answer, it's like all or nothing. It's like, either like, I need to like quit everything and move to LA or I'll never be a musician. I think that attitude is also bad. I think it's like, you should start like immediately, go play a show today. You don't need to like get a certain number of followers or plays or monthly listeners. It's like, start doing it right now, even if you have other obligations. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. And it's not, in fact, it's never going to be that when you start, because, it just doesn't work like that.
Yeah, I think making money as an artist is such a crapshoot. And it comes in waves. Like,
There's no sustainable income.
there's no such thing as sustainable income in this career. I mean, maybe there is. I haven't quite figured that out yet. Like, I think if you can take that weight off yourself and just, it's about the mindset of it and the practice of it. That is the life that you are committing to as an artist, of like always, coming up with new ways to grow and evolve and to challenge yourself artistically. That is the work. And that is sometimes going to correlate financially and sometimes it won't. And there's nothing you can do to control that.
All you can do is love what you do. I mean, it's like, that's the only thing you really have power over.
Yeah.
I will say, like, when I first started doing like making videos in general, I was working a call center job at the same time.
Yeah,
And I did that for like 2 years. And every time I was working 8 hours a day, like on the phones, helping students with financial aid, like talking about FAFSA and everything like that.
Wow, doing the good work, man.
And like anytime I was off work, it was like grinding and making as many videos as possible so that I didn't have to go back to the phones. Because I really did. Personally, I didn't like it.
Absolutely. I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
I didn't like it either.
So like when I hear the answer being like, I did it for 2 years. So I was like making content while also working full time. I was like, I do not want to ever do this job again. So I would do everything I can to like try to get out of this and do something like that. So like when I hear that answer, like you don't have it to have it be your full income. I still want to would want to find something that I really love at the same time.
For sure. And I think that is a good lesson for life too. You want to try and do, if whatever your job is that makes you money, you don't want it to be something that makes you absolutely miserable.
True. Yeah.
But I just think that it goes back to the idea of success, right? Like, I think that for most of us, like I had this too. I was like, if I am not making a living full time off of my art, I'm not successful. And I wholeheartedly disagree with that now. I know so many incredibly talented artists who do not make a full-time living off of their art. And it is not because they are not good artists. It is not because the art that they make is not good. It's just because that's the way the fucking cards get dealt sometimes. And it takes a while. It takes a long time. Sometimes it happens very quickly, and sometimes it does not happen for a very, 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 very long time. And I think that it's easy to get discouraged if you feel like I am not yet at a point where I can make a living off of just my art. So that means I'm a failure as an artist.
I think it's the giving up thing. Like if if you can use that as a motivator to keep on going, then that's great. But I think so many people get to a point where it's like, oh, I'm not, I might as well just give up. I might as well stop being an artist. And I think that's where the trap is. That's where the pitfall is that the moment you stop making art is the moment you're not an artist anymore. And it's not when your songs aren't getting played or whatnot. That's not the moment you're not an artist. It's when you stop trying.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's kind of where it is.
At one point, you talked about how you were trying to make music like 2 hours a day every day.
Yeah.
Do you still do that?
I still try to keep a practice of like every day I try to make something. And I go through phases of like what that bar is, like sometimes the bar is like, okay, every day you have to try and write like a chorus or a verse, or every day just try and like sit down in front of your journal and free write for at least, 3 pages. And then some days it's like every day I gotta write and produce an entire song top to bottom. And it doesn't matter if it sucks or not. But I think having that practice always evolving and in the back of my head is really, really important. I always feel the best in my life when I am making stuff.
Music is also definitely like, and I guess it's probably more than music. It's any creative field or anything is like, working out a muscle. Like if you don't work it out all the time, it's going to atrophy a bit. It's not going to come to you as easily. Whereas if you give it even just a little bit of exercise every day, it's amazing how just musical ideas and things like that come to you much more easily when you're in practice like that.
Yeah. It's good to keep those muscles limber.
Yeah.
The final piece before we move on to the thank you cards is with this re-release of VHS, the re-recordings.
Yeah.
Everyone go check those out.
Yes. Go check them out. Go check them out.
Finally out.
The re-recording of VHS, was that also or the piece of you where it was like, I'm just going to ask it because I'm just curious. Yeah. Do you guys own the masters for that too?
Yeah.
Now?
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure. We do.
Was that a big thing at the time for you or no?
I mean, not really, because like I think we're not like Taylor Swift, like we know that most of the people that are listening to our music are going to go back and listen to the original versions of things. We're not banking on this being like,
a moneymaker,
a huge moneymaker, but maybe, who knows?
Nostalgia.
Who knows? Nostalgia.
Yeah.
But I think the point of it more so was to, in addition to ownership of the masters, like really taking ownership of the album, re-ownership of it again as people who have grown a lot in 10 years and changed a lot in 10 years. And what does this really all feel like now in our bodies when we play it? And I think the way that we produced it I wanted it to feel much more like a band in a room than, this kind of like hyper-produced kind of amorphous thing. And also give ourselves the opportunity to actually be in a studio to make it, which is not how the first record was made. It was made in, bits and pieces here and there.
In the back of the van.
In the back of the van.
Exactly.
And, hotel rooms, bathrooms, venues, backstage,
the
venues.
Bathroom?
Yeah.
Like in like personal bathroom or like a public bathroom?
No, not public bathrooms.
Green room bathrooms.
And
good acoustics in there, man.
Yeah, like in our
like
practice space in Brooklyn, So it was piecemeal.
Yeah.
And this felt like a way to do it as a focused event.
Yeah.
Make it an event of making this record, which we didn't really get the opportunity to do the first time around.
Yeah.
An event.
Yeah,
that we all
making
can
it
go to.
Yeah,
exactly. Man. Amen.
That's kind of how we made Townie, our last record. It felt a bit more like we all flew to this studio in upstate New York, and we lived there. And
In the studio?
they had a housing on the property. And so we all lived there together, and we made this record together, and we went to this place to accomplish a thing and accomplished it. And I wanted to do that for this record too. And I think moving forward, I'd want to do that more and more. I mean, it's a very traditional kind of old school approach to making a record, but I think there's some value to it. I had a producer I just spoke with about making this new record. We were talking about that very thing. And he said, it sticks to the tape, that kind of energy of like coming together into a room, into a studio, wherever that studio is, but like with the intention of like within this time period with these people, we are going to make something. Who knows what it's going to be, but we're going to make something. And I think there's some magic to it, that what he said, it sticks to the tape.
That means new music's coming.
New music's coming.
Oh, should we reveal that?
Yeah, definitely new music's coming.
Love it.
Yeah. Probably next year.
Very exciting.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I want to say thank you all so much for being a part of Behind the Wall.
Thank you for having us,
yeah,
dude.
Seriously, you're the man.
Oh my God.
Thank you for doing your research.
Cards?
Yes. So
Should we read these on air?
okay.
Off air.
Probably off. One thing I will say is for Casey.
Casey.
So Casey, I tried to learn Braille.
Dude,
That's
me too,
wild.
actually, and I'm still terrible at it. Yeah.
I tried. I didn't have the actual I didn't know there was a device you needed.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought it was just like a pen and paper. So I'm trying to do this and so
really
I
press
went.
hard
That is
into them.
impressive.
I
My
went
dude.
through the paper and I was like, this isn't worth it. So I stopped. And so I didn't know you go down too. So I just
That is actually some of the
crazy.
most impressive, working out Braille from first principles, dude. That's awesome. That is
Wow. That's
props,
rad.
my dude. Honestly, like
it was
that's
very much using Google. Like I
It's
I
the
cannot
thought that
take
counts.
credit for
It's
anything.
the thought that
dude.
counts.
Yeah, seriously, man. I appreciate that. That's so cool. And it's probably a good thing because my Braille skills are, I think my 6-year-old probably has about the same level of reading skill. So it's it's all good. It all worked out.
I also wanted
He's the
to
worst blind guy.
Yeah, basically, I'm a
really
very
bad at
failed
being
blind
blind.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
also want to give a shout out to old names that y'all have real quick. Like
hell yeah.
wasn't there Fuzz Brothers?
Fuzz
right?
Brothers.
Oh my God, that was the first one. Yeah.
And then there was another one, Pocket.
That was actually that was even before
That was
Fuzz Brothers.
middle
I think
school.
that
And
was
I don't know if we actually have them, but just for fun, I was like, how fun would it be if we had Hot Pockets?
Oh.
And I don't know if we actually
That
have
was
them.
Where it was
Do
from.
they
How'd you
still
know?
make hot
Oh,
bars?
for
Yeah,
sure.
okay,
For
great.
sure.
So how'd you know that's where that name came from?
Which one?
That
Pocket.
pocket, because that's exactly what it was
I
named
there's a
after.
million.
Oh, okay, yeah,
I just- yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
Hot Pocket.
yeah. Oh man,
Love Hot
classic.
Pockets.
Yeah,
Yeah, the ham and cheese one was always my go-to, which is kind of a
That's
outlier. It's a weird one.
Yeah.
But that was my
Pepperoni.
favorite. Yeah.
And is there anything you guys want to shout out, promote, plug, anything like that?
We're going on tour. We're doing the VHSX tour starting on Monday. It's US and Canada run.
Wow.
Tickets are still available for some of the shows, so get them while you can. We're working on new music, and we're gonna be teasing some songs and trying stuff out over the next year or so.
Super exciting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
Everyone go check out the new re-recorded version of VHS. Thank you so much for watching Behind the Wall.
Thank
Give
you.
it up for Ex-Ambassadors. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you so much.
man. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Appreciate y'all.
This is
Hell
great.
Yeah, for real, man.
This is so great. And thanks for the thank you cards.
Yeah, that's
Thank
awesome.
you.
Honestly, man.
My
And
mic-
props
my
for the
mic
Braille, dude. That
didn't
is
bring anything.
above and beyond.
Yeah.